Alright guys, I want to do a little video here about the 2-axis brushless gimbal on the Hubsan H109S X4 Pro quadcopter. I did some posts on Facebook about how to do this and had a lot of people get excited about it. So I just want to give you a quick walkthrough on how I did it. So here essentially is one of the gimbals. This is the one I bought. I bought it off of eBay here. Um, it's pretty universal and it works great so far. This is the way I had it mounted originally. I used the mounting plate that it came with and a couple of screws that I had from I want to say it's a Park Zone Typhoon 3D airplane that I've had for years, and I had just little bits and pieces laying around. I didn't care for this idea because the screws barely were holding the base plate on, and they didn't have many threads going into the quad itself. So I had been wanting to make some improvements on design. My 1D gimbal that I had, you could use a 1D or the smartphone gimbal mount if you wanted, either one. And I ground off the top layer of it until this metal plate was exposed, and then I pulled the metal plate out of it. This is kind of what I had left over. This is the side that clips onto the bottom of the quad. You can see it's absolutely untouched and still in perfect shape. Um, I started to do some trimming on it, so I just cut the little mounting ears off at this point. I smoothed out the side that I had cut the plate out of and just made it so it was a perfectly smooth surface. I put one hole right in the center here for one single screw, and then I just made sure I didn't have any overhang. I left all these details on it because they're what kind of balance it perfectly onto the quad. So I lace and just some more fitting here. I use this Worth Fix-All. It's a two-part epoxy. I'm sure JB Quick Weld, anything like that will work. This is a fairly fast-drying epoxy that I used. Works very well. Um, Here I just put some epoxy on there and glued it on. I put my single screw on because that's what held it, perfectly where I wanted it, and then I just let it dry and kind of clean it up a little bit. This epoxy it's not going to be quite as hard as JB Quick Weld, but it does work very well, and it is a sandable finish when you're done. Here it is, just with the rubbers back installed. I do have the original Hubsan rubbers used here instead of the ones that came with my gimbal because they are considerably softer. Maybe that won't play to my advantage in the future, but I'm not quite sure. So here it is mounted to the quad. It fits on there perfectly. It's a quick disconnect. If you'll notice on this one, I do have this axis swapped around in order so the plug is not sitting right into the motor here. It does move the camera over to this side rather than being like this, where the camera lens is more centered, but you have the plug over here. I had it like that originally, and the camera wanted to move over a lot and it wouldn't ever fall off by any means because the strap holds it on, but it wouldn't hold itself centered, which could be easily fixed with some Velcro or something like that. But I wanted a cleaner look, so I just swapped the whole arm around. It's really simple, 3 screws, just move it to its other side and put the 3 screws back in. I have looked into doing a low profile mini USB right here, and I'll show you an example of that. I've got it up here. Uh, here's one from AliExpress, and their pictures are horrible here, but you can see how it's very low profile, and it might get you that camera in there to where you can get the lens more centered on the quad. I get just a slight amount of skid in some of my video quality. So that's the difference between the two ways of doing it. I prefer this way, but I would like to figure out a way to get that camera lens centered a little bit better. So here it is, the quick connect with the camera still attached, and I slid it off just to take a picture of it. It's all assembled there. Here's the wiring. So I don't know exactly which numbered pins these are. I believe it's 1 and 2 on there. The colors that I use don't much matter. They come with, I think, 5 different wires. I just chose 2 of them that were stuck together side by side and used those ones. The voltage, the positive and negative here, we're sitting here on my quad. It did not come with a parachute. I'm assuming that that was power for the parachute attachment, or it was power for the 3-axis gimbal option. But that one plugs directly in, and then you just use 2 wires, use the 2 pins there, and then you'll hook it over to the gimbal itself here. Now, my controller works so T1 is pitch and T2 is roll. That can be swapped just by taking this connector off here and turning it 180 degrees and putting it back down either side. So I'm going to try to do a video on this live stream here, just the operation of it. Okay, and then here's another video of the control of the pitch and roll. Now this gimbal is very sensitive on the knobs. You'll see I just move them just ever so slightly, and that is slow because that's the way I'm moving it, is slowly. But it is very fast reacting if you want it to be. Changeable within the settings on the gimbal itself. The original 1-axis came with pitch was controlled on T2. I preferred it on T1, so that's why I swapped them like that. Here's just some pictures I took with it. If you're interested, this is the Meridian, Idaho LDS Temple. I got some pretty cool pictures with the gimbal one day. This was actually my first flight with the gimbal. I would show you the video of it, but the video it's not worthwhile because I was trying to take pictures, not a video. So it's made a lot of just buzzing around to get things centered into place and stuff like that. All right, so there's that. Like I said, this is one I bought on eBay. There is this one on GearBest that appears to be identical. I can't confirm that. And then there's also one on Banggood that appears to be the same unit, which once again I cannot confirm. Mine, I have not messed with any of the software on it whatsoever. They do come out of the box to maybe need some adjustments. I haven't needed to. I know another member on the Facebook group had his making a bunch of noise, and I linked him the software change for it, and he said that that took care of it right away. And you can make a lot of other adjustments on that too, but mine was, it held 0, you know, pretty much right out of box. The two T1 and T2, if I put them in the straight up position, that gimbal is basically in the perfect position at rest. So it works very well. I've linked the video that tells you how to do all the programming changes in the description here. The reason I decided to create this video is because I often disappear from Facebook for months on end, and I don't know if all the information that I've posted on there will be deleted when I disappear from my account. So like I said, it's a quick, it took, you know, if you just put a couple screws in it, you can have this thing up and running on your quad in probably under 10 minutes time. I spent probably about a half hour making the modification to the bracket so I could use the original bracket. Other members have just put a couple of bolts and nuts on theirs, and that seems to work very well. I was kind of weight conscious on mine. Um, Going to the 2D gimbal is considerably heavier than the 1D, and so I was trying to keep my weight down on it so I could keep my flight times up. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys all have a good experience with these gimbals. Like they're don't expect to get a $300 gimbal for $30, but for what you get, they work very well.